Welcome back to M Hood Fishing. Back at the usual spot, we're gonna watch this ship go past. A lot of people don't realize this part of the river, my part of the river here in southeast Louisiana, is tidal. That's because we're below the salt line. Now, a lot of people don't get rivers being tidal. Some people think there's too much flow coming through the river in spring from snow melt for it to be tidal, because they don't think salt water can push up against that. Now, this river will get this part of the river, we got to be clear, will get a tidal signal no matter its level. It could be 5 feet on the gauge up at Carrollton and it'll get a signal. It could be 25 feet and it'll still get a signal. The tidal range may be different, however, it'll still get a signal. There are people who just are very confused by this, and let me tell you about it. The other day I saw a comment where someone said, I reject the river being tidal because up north where I work on the river, it's always flowing south. Yes, you're not going to get a tidal signal in the northern basin of the Mississippi River. However, you can get a tidal signal as far north as Baton Rouge. It's not a very strong one, but down here where I'm at, you can get a strong one. Technically, this is an incoming tide still. However, it is just after 4 and high tide is at 5:28 p.m. There is a bit of a range. It's around a foot or so today. So as you see right here, we have water. That is from the tide coming in. So at about 5:28, it's going to take a bit, but it'll start to turn around sometime after 5:28, and after several hours there will be no water here. Now the gauge up at Carrollton right now says we're at around 11 feet, and we're going to drop over the next several days. I don't always like to come here at high tide at certain levels anyway, because say if it's 13 feet or 14 feet at high tide, we can't get the bike here. There's water all the way up at the head of that trail, maybe even further. So I do like to come here at high tide when I can actually get past this tree, that tree. If the water's warm, I don't worry about it, but the water's not that warm. It is 65 degrees, however, that is primo, good temp. But if it's higher than this and it's cold and I got to use my boots, I can only get out so far before I've got water in my boots. I've said all this many times before on other videos, but sometimes you just have to say it again, because there are always new people watching. So just because I say that this is tidal, that I'm dealing with a certain tide situation, doesn't mean you're going to experience it up in Iowa. But if you're down here, you are. It's just a fact of life for me. My river is tidal. And why it's tidal is not just because I'm below the salt line. That has a lot to do with it. It's because I'm really close to the mouth. However, it's a good distance away, but I'm close enough. And it's not salt water flowing up causing the river to be tidal. It's more about pressure. Now, when the river's really low in summer and in fall, we can get what we call a conversion, where this river, this part of the river, is more brackish than freshwater. But that's not the case right now. It's just pressure pushing on the river. So right now, because it's an incoming tide, the current is not very strong out there right behind this structure. It's strong, but trust me, once we get past 5:28, it's going to increase, because there will be less pressure pushing on everything. Everything will be going down south as normal. But right now, it's just pressure pushing the water, making it swell. It's not salt water flowing north up the river. It's more about pressure. The ocean is putting pressure on the river. Down at the mouth, they're coming against each other like this, and it's causing fresh water to back up. It's not salt water coming up and causing issues in here. Not yet. But when that happens, we will be catching bull shark out of here, and I can't wait. Here's the bait. Strawberry chicken. Size 6 octopus hook. Each rig is the same. This is a leader of 50-pound mono. It's just what I always make these catfish leaders out of for the most part. It's cow hitched to my swivel, and then my main line if you don't know, is 45-pound test, coastal brown. We're using 4 ounces of lead because we're going to need it. So we're just going to see what's up, see if the bite is really good before or after high tide, see what we can get out of here. This piece of chicken is a little manky. We want to do that twice so it'll still work. Perfect, perfect. That'll work. I just finished putting both those out, and the first rod that I put out is already getting a bite. I know I've been fishing this spot a lot over the last few days. It's just an easy spot to fish this time of year. Plus, honestly, I'm not feeling 100% today. Last week, I did more than one all-nighter. I just pushed myself a lot. Friday night, I ended up staying up all night, even though I didn't plan it. I was working on the other channel. I was figuring out the live streaming issues. I had to learn how to use OBS, which is a live streaming software. So I did a test stream for about 30-something odd minutes on the boom. I figured out that, ooh, look at that bite. I figured out that my levels were too low, so I stopped, I reset, and I did a second one, and I thought, wow, I've got it right now. And I ended up messing around for 59 minutes and then stopped, figured out that it went to the wrong channel. So I had to start again, reset OBS. I had to figure out what was going wrong with OBS because it just wanted, even though it was supposed to be going to the boom, it kept going to the main channel. So I had to disconnect. It was kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. I had to hook OBS up a different way so that won't happen again. I was pissed that it went to this channel and not the intended channel. But we will do the same set that I did. I've deleted all those videos because they were just test videos. And, you know, I'm not going to keep, there was no way I could move an archived live stream from M Hood Fishing to another channel. It just wouldn't let me do it. So we will do that again soon. Same set, a little different. And I will be doing it randomly. So remember, these will be archived so you can start at the beginning or watch them at your leisure. You don't have to worry about being awake late at night if that's when I do it. I wonder if we're going to keep getting bites. So this rod that we saw them bites on is in deeper water than this rod that's closest to us. Yeah, it's still early days. We might see most of our bites right around high tide. River is a little dirty from weather that just came through my region and a little further north. Look at that, we're still getting that bite. Oh, it gave us a bit of a slack line. We do have this line just touching the willows, just the beginning. Do I need to adjust? It feels like I don't. It feels like the current adjusted it for me. I'm keeping my fingers gently on the line to feel for vibration, feel for anything if this fish comes back. Could be a little fish tearing up the bait. I'm hoping that all those bites we saw while I was yammering there, I'm hoping that it comes to something, but I'm thinking it might not. Yeah, last week I did too many all-nighters. I don't actually drink, so that's not what we're talking about here. It's just work, just being up late working, or having to do like 24 hours of stuff, being awake too long, and then you get a little sleep, and then all of a sudden you're doing it again, and just too much of it last week. But we are back out here now, yammering away as usual, watching these little bites. Yeah, something is gently messing with it. I can see just the slightest bit of action going on up there on that tip. Just a difference of tension. You know, it'll receive a little tension, then back off, then receive it again. Doesn't have to mean we're getting a bite. It just means that the situation has changed out there with the placement of the bait. could also be the fact that our line is just barely touching the willows, this stand of willows that you see out there, fresh growth. We've got some issues going on. A fuel barge got too close to that, and now so we had a fuel barge come on the inside passing the cruise liner, and then another tanker of some sort passing on the other side. You can hear the sirens from Port Authority, which is down by the ferry landing, going off. Well, I think everything's okay, but we still got sirens. That's a carnival. That's the Carnival Glory. This warrants my attention. I got him. I wasn't sure for a second if I had him. Oh, he's pulling good. Not a huge fish. I got him out of really shallow water too. He's already right here in front of us. Oh. Whoa. He's not happy. It's a decent channel cat. Before I could even do anything, he became unhooked. He's gonna swim up on the land for me. Yeah, that is a decent channel. Big head. All right, I am not keeping fish. Not in the mood to go cut fish after this. So let's see if you can find your way back out there. You disappeared, so I'm guessing you went in the right direction. All right, guys, because I feel like trash, I'm gonna call it right here. Have an early night. The bites kind of dropped back anyway. I just wanted to come down here and talk about the tide. It kind of irks me when people make wild claims about something without seemingly to research the topic. So I wanted to explain how tides work. It's not the salt water flowing up the river. It's the tide holding pressure on the river down at the mouth, causing the dynamics of the river to change. And it only goes so far upriver. It's pressure. It causes the river to swell or it causes it to drop. When the tide is coming in, it's holding pressure, and when the tide is going out, it's releasing that pressure, allowing the river's current to increase. So remember, when you got an incoming tide, it's putting pressure on the river, decreasing the current, changing it, and it'll swell when it's coming in. It'll come in a little bit more. Sometimes the range is only a few inches, other times it's about a foot. We can get specific tidal information for Belle Chasse because we are a port town. We have a lot of maritime activity. We have a quite sizable anchorage where there's a lot of ships usually anchored, or a lot could be anchored. We have the ICW back on the other side of us that connects to the river up this way. We have a ferry. So yeah, of course you can get specific tidal info for this part of the river, and you can even get tidal info going a good ways upriver. But like I said, Baton Rouge can get a tidal signal. It's not much of one. So this part of the river, yes, is tidal. No, Iowa does not have title info, because the only title info you can get up there is like for your car, your house, maybe other things, but you know, like your motorcycle, but not your river, because you're too far. So yeah, of course the river is always going to be flowing south. It's rare when the river flows north. It's usually caused by a hurricane, but the tide does not make it flow north. This is not a boring tide. This is not the kind of river that gets a boring tide. So of course, I'm just thinking, what's next? Someone in Kansas is going to tell me, I reject the idea of mountains because I live in Kansas where it's always flat, and the rest of the world must be flat too. The moon is fake, and the sun is just someone holding a flashlight in the sky, and the government is putting microchips in Alpo to track your dog. No, they're not. Relax. Of course, you're not seeing any tidal changes where you work on the river up north, because you're up north and I'm not. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna go take a rest, and I'll be back at it tomorrow. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. I'll see you next time.